Hi, it's Ian from the Postal Hub Podcast.
And Marek from Last Mile Experts.
And we are the Last Mile Prophets. This is the last word on the last mile. Marek, it's not that long ago that InPost had its massive IPO. Was it InPost or what do you call it?
Well, actually, both of them had a massive IPO. Allegro a couple of months ago and a few weeks ago, InPost had theirs in Amsterdam.
Now, obviously, InPost, massive parcel locker company. What's its deal with Allegro? Because there's a key, the two have a close relationship.
Absolutely. I think symbiotic would be a good way to describe it. So basically, because Allegro is so big in terms of e-commerce parcels, it's the biggest marketplace in Poland. Having Allegro on board is fundamental to having parcels in the network. And as we know, for locker networks, you need parcels to make them fly. So that, on the other hand, Allegro needs a low cost and effective channel to deliver so that they can offer their subscription model. So it really is like this. It is symbiosis.
Now, I think we've covered this before, if not in these videos and in our courses that we run, our workshops that we run about the relationship and the importance of InPost to Allegro's subscription model. And you've said previously that basically the only way you can make a subscription model work is if you have a really low cost delivery network and lockers. Well, I'll let you explain it.
Absolutely. So this is where the synergy comes in. The only way to efficiently offer last mile, particularly for lower cost items, is to have out-of-home delivery because it's far more efficient and far more cost effective. So that there is no choice. So Allegro needs an out-of-home network, and particularly a locker network, because the Polish public just love lockers. On the other hand, InPost still needs Allegro. Watch this place because there are a lot of things happening in the market.
Now, there are two things that we want to talk about today. Now, we've sort of given this overview and this introduction of why lockers are particularly important in Poland, is that Allegro announced on the 4th of March that it's selected an automated parcel lockers supplier. They're going to be installing the first batch of 1,500 lockers in cities around Poland by the end of this year. Now, Marek, and the supplier is not InPost. What's happening?
The supplier is not InPost, and to be fair, InPost is quite a strange animal in the sense that it is a service provider offering a locker network, but it actually also sells lockers. Having said that, recently, with all the issues they've got in terms of their own demand for capacity, I'm not sure how many lockers they're actually selling to third parties. But theoretically, yes, they could be a supplier. But what Allegro has decided to do is to become more independent, and it's gone to Modern Expo, which is a company from this region. And I think it's a pretty good choice. It's a compromise between Chinese cost, but the distance, and pretty good European quality, much closer to home.
Now, is this Allegro also doing a bit of an Amazon here? When I say doing an Amazon, what I mean is, Amazon's created its own last mile delivery network that has a complete control over, You all know what I mean. Is this Allegro as, a major e-commerce? Well, it's more of a marketplace than a retailer, isn't it? But still, is this them setting up their own delivery network?
I think so. I think it's them trying to make themselves more independent, because today they are totally dependent on InPost. They've just signed a 7-year agreement, which should give them some comfort. But with Amazon entering the market and Alibaba also seeking to do things, I believe it's a step by Allegro to try to become reasonably independent, to have their own footprint, and actually very much, as you said, to do what Amazon would do with Amazon logistics, but actually starting from out of home, because out of home is so important in Poland.
Now, we mentioned before that Amazon is entering Poland, but that prior to, up until now, Allegro is the dominant marketplace. You just mentioned then Alibaba, and that's probably the right point for us to mention that some new parcel lockers have also been popping up around Poland.
Absolutely.
But not InPost ones and not Modern Expo ones. So what's happening there?
Well, there's some nice blue, and I'm really bad at pronouncing this, Cainiao or Cainiao.
Nobody has told us yet how to pronounce it. Every time we mention Cainiao, we say, please tell us how to pronounce it, and nobody has told us. So please tell us how to pronounce Cainiao, but we'll keep saying Cainiao. So new Cainiao lockers sprouting up around Poland.
But very, very few so far. And I think it will be the battle of the giants. You've got the 3 A's, Amazon, Allegro, Alibaba. Well, actually the 3 A's and an I, because InPost do have more than 10,000 machines in place. So I think it's going to be very interesting. My feeling is that at the moment, it's only realistic that those networks are supportive to whatever volumes go through either InPost with a locker network or Żabka or one of the other PUDO networks. But, let's see how that evolves. It's going to be interesting. So far, I'm actually underwhelmed by Amazon's entry. I thought it was going to be a big bang, certainly in terms of customer experience and so on, even if they use third-party resources. So far, it's been quite disappointing. A lot of language mistakes at the beginning, a very poor offering. You don't have Prime and you have to spend 25, I think, roughly euros, 20 to 25 euros to get a free parcel, which it's not very appealing compared to what Allegro has. And on Alibaba's side, it's still a long way to go. So let's see. I think this will be a really interesting subject to revisit periodically. But so far, what is clear, everyone is coming in with lockers.
So out of home, we've discussed previously, and I'll probably put a link in that corner or that corner. I can never remember which corner they appear in. To a previous discussion we've had about the importance of out of home delivery in Poland and whether or not the Polish experience is a bit of a foretaste of what might be to come in other markets with regard to the out-of-home versus in-home delivery balance. I suppose, Marek, we should also mention the recent webinar that we did with Doddle as well about the importance of out-of-home delivery. I'll put a pop-up somewhere again to that. I guess we should just say, in all of this, though, there are other players in the last mile market in Poland. And is there still going to be space for them to try and create their own parcel locker market? So whether it's Amazon might come in with its own hubbed locker model, or whether Cainiao continues to expand, or whether the existing sort of hybrid model with it's DHL and the Post and Swipbox of all in there, they've got a few hundred machines. Now, is there going to be the space for them, or is it really key to create a locker network fast? Because what did I just say? I said there's going to be 1,500 by the end of this year. Now that's what they're saying, so we'll see. And I can't remember. I can't remember what the figure was. The target is, but I mean, will there be space for these other locker networks?
I think the answer is it depends.
Or will they all be carrier neutral, therefore, or seller neutral, and sort of be the alternative network? Because if Amazon locks down its own network and so on and so forth, who will be left, and where will the other e-commerce players be able to go anyway?
Do you know what, Ian? I think that probably the Allegro network is going to be a closed one because they're going to need the capacity for their own purposes, and their CEO's ex-Amazon. So if he thinks Amazonian, he's going to make it a closed network. Let's see what happens with Cainiao. At the moment, it's very, very small. We can worry about it when it really becomes significant. I think the big question is there room for a large agnostic network? I think there still is, but it's going to have to be agnostic. It's going to have to cover pretty much all of the carriers. So as I understand today, you have DPD, DHL and Polish Post using Swipbox. I think you're going to need more than that. And also there's going to have to be a good model for financing it, because I can't honestly see Swipbox coming up with the cash to put 10,000 lockers out in Poland. So it's complicated.
So lots happening in parcel lockers in Poland. Seems to be a constant theme on this. Parcel lockers in Poland. There's always something happening. Certainly 2021's been the big year for it. Comment below. Share your thoughts. What do you think will happen in your home market? Is there room for carrier-specific networks only, or the carrier-neutral model that we've just been discussing? What would Amazon do if it entered your market, or what has Amazon done in your market with regards to lockers and out of home? Comment below. Join the discussion. We're always happy to hear from different perspectives from people around the world. Marek, any comments before we wrap up?
The only comment I'd make is this is going to be really an exciting space. Watch it. We can see the huge interest we've had during our InPost webinar and the recent one we had with Doddle. So, I think this is a subject that we should come back to, and please come back with your comments.
Marek Różycki, thanks for being part of the Last Mile Profits today.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, everybody.